Namo Guru Me Namo Buddhaya Namo Dharmaya Namo Sanghaya Namo Namo Buddhaya Namo Dharmaya Namo Sanghaya Namo Guruye Namo Namo Dharmaya Namo Sanghaya Kande Laje Gwenje Doga Rabga Shosa Bongde Chunze 确见家不归见路上着塞当结不念的写所说人间那个心的变的其实拉玛这边中个大陆这边是那心中电报姐姐给家收所 谢谢全国这边罗州，介绍那边研究的，差别北京他们这边，同志这边天天老家，以往去那座没，提前都别南山这家，我想一直去人家。 是那心着切了切吧，看些同面对的啥吧，另外一说没给季节，切不让东巴顺节没的，人呢就把这不说，人们对的忙的着了，世界旁边天中的月。 公布确切拉人这吧，大家上班他别，其实拉忙当把钱呢，出国看了签证政治，接到上班对这什么，上节确切瞧我不多，难道为是引来行吧？ sonju过了恰到命啊，他们那我说过热的，谁的巴多没弄的吧？他说今年上班给我，等到着我滚了看，贴不了几只路上找吧，等别宁波人多设计。 明明这位在人间的，前面前边往不站边，退步马路中在上边，看见开边走进中国，路上差别下了说我，明明这位在人间的是前面前。 退步马路中在上边的，看见开边走进中国，路上差别下了说我，明明这位在人间的是前面前。 往不站北洋，退步马路中在，看见开边走进中国，把路上。 Sovande Bande Zavia Lama Rimbo Taso Jiro Bende Densho La Gade Chenbu Kone Jesu Kusun Toji Ngudu Zendo Bande Zavia Lama Rimbo Taso Ningara Beme Densho La Gade Chenbu Kone Chodan Tumu Ngudu Zedo Panden Zawe Lama Rinpoche Daso Ningara Beme Densho La Gade Chanjo Ningbi Ba Tenba Yo Masan Jume Shera Paru Maje Manga Namge Ngowo Soso Rari Ishi Tuzon Gebe Yung Chaze Lo Dea Ta Gade Bara Samgade Bodhiye Soha Dea Ta Gade Bara Samgade Bo Dea Ta Gade Bara Samgade Bodhi So Ha Gere Tongda Jajoshi Tenpa Roshi Pezon Sojo Ne Dash Yo So Shi Be Jo Ji Me Lo Dagi Chujurun Jibe Zonam Jian Dolobin Sanjian Dobarasho Chedan Zonji Chonam La Janjo Bando Zoni Jabzo Dagi Chujurun Jibe Zonam Jian Dolobin Sanjian Dobarasho Chedan Zonji Chonam La Janjo Bando Zoni Jabzo Dagi Chujurun Jibe Dola Benja Zanje Ando Barasho.
Simshe Tabje to Toshala Namawayanda, Zobasai, Comparison Bajin, Tabash. Taste the Tabishu, saying, we couldn't show you some Shemas in the set and the Shembershis.
I would like to remind every one of ourselves to take a moment and cultivate the highest form of motivation. We call it bodhicitta motivation, or the altruistic motivation, seeking complete enlightenment for the sake of all other sentient beings. With that kind of altruistic bodhicitta motivation, we should participate in this Bodhisattva's discourse on the perfection of concentration or samadhi.
That's today is Karsa losing tomorrow, that losing so connoisseur, so by chance, lose some charm within here.
So we have, talked about the need to counteract our attachment to the body in general, and maybe specifically thinking about how our body is constituted by impurities or impure substances, and through such analysis, we are trying to work with our mind and overcome attachment to bodies.
Lisa Kala Sha Mary Bunny. She and Bermuda Lisa Kala Shiva Taban. Dani Vajili Jajan, she may live by the Lagash. Shartse, Sing Busy, Richard Kala Yama, Mr. Yamani. Tell a Lucy River, the Mega give it over the Tagoti, the nation is me about Jagotaba, Shadela, and the embassy. Oh, go, the Jab, Ribota, Minute. Debasha, and the Bishop. Lizzie Shalaga, Shala, Shalaga, Shaban, de la Simeme. Da Mendeda, Mendeji, Bagoda, Shabani, Tadu, Shabanese jury, Simcoin, but they never social money. Rigbata Tawa Minula, Kahirita, Neme, Nepimins. Cure the business of Shiva, Gimeli, Lumbushi, do Moji, Tribaji, some Gaya, Shani, Teleshi, Tommy, Shiva, the Chi. Tommy be true about she did say, she did not get to the Ponsola, so shut the civil, you shut the Simcona Tajo. Shabe to me, Shadi, Tiji, Shashi, do Tide. Listen, call Shaji, name Baba Tendo. That is your consumer in Premier Lul Sar, Silja is that is social share Delada, Telashia as a Premier, similar Gashi Tabanas. Premier, you lose some contact, Lul shower, several showers, the darkness order. Down the Premier, you lose the shot, reject Josie, yearly work. The corner Gaji Shaji. She sing busy, just saw a color young Meshako, she Yamne. Tell a Lucy River, make down to go to the corner, she is me, but as your Jim Gula Tabu. Rashi Shadel, even the Yabachi to go to Ribata Tawa, Jim in the day, Devachari, Natera, Missy, Shalaga, Chaba, Miss. This is the Lusukan Shas, the Karsha, Lua Shasena. In Lusa, the Tushin, to rock on the road, roll Shan Shakumada, Lusa roll there was. What is your that? Lu Shagun, to rock on the roller shop, Lusa there is. The same Shagun, certainly called Muzu Yudia, Machaba, you might depend on your marriage. Said that Lula Shas and to rock roller shard goodus. In the same Shas and the same Shaba Tomindus, 70 years in the rig but dark, Yudia, Telesha Medus, or the Tashan of Gani. in the Shabbat study.
Yes. So we are on page 111 of this English translation by Stephen Batchelors, and so Geshe-la's explanation pertains to stanza 55 that reads, "Furthermore, any mind that I may desire," let me see, is unable to be touched or beheld, and whatever I am able to touch will not be mental, so why indulge in this meaningless copulation? So related to that, so as Geshe-la explained, so I mean we are thinking for ourselves, right? And of course the text, as we said, is presented more from men's point of view, how the man gets attached to women's bodies, but as we said, this could be other way around too. So the question we ask ourselves, what am I really attached to? Am I attached to a body, Lu, or am I attached to mind, Sim? Yeah. So from men's perspective, if I'm attached to a woman, am I attached to her body or am I attached to her mind? If I'm attached to her body, then how come when she dies and her body is on the cremation ground, or when I look at her body, why am I not attached to the body? Because that doesn't seem to make sense, right? If body is the object of attachment, then why now I feel repulsed by the dead body, and why am I not attached to that? Now if I say that I'm attached to her mind, while mind is imperceptible, we cannot see it directly, it is not something that we can touch. We cannot have haptic behaviors, with regard to the mind, so it couldn't be that. We are attached to the mind really. So this is how, when we try to eliminate, so to speak, the two possibilities, I could be attached to the body or I could be attached to the mind. But if I think I'm attached to the body, then why am I still not attached to her body when it is no more life? Yeah? Why the big difference? Why I feel repulsed now? But if it's the mind is so immaterial, imperceptible, I cannot touch with it, I cannot embrace the mind. So it's not really that. Yeah? So this is how we try to work with our mind and try to overcome our attachment to either the body or the mind.
Rolla sem yo maris su land of Javanese da.
No, it's on.
Sem yo chagris the same deal shall paint over. Sem the make to the level yet yo maras. So the shana tom yo must maris. So the redome that the shana soul shan said and the roller shall see there soul shan and the sim said said the teleshas and sim the redome you the get the shaka yo maris.
And so as a man, I look at a woman's and get attached to her, and I said, what am I really attached to? Is it her body or is it her mind? And so if I attach to her body, then why am I still not attached to her body when she's no more alive, the body, the real dead body in front of me? Now, if the mind says, you know what, it's a dead body, come on, give me, because it has no mind, then it seems to implicate that I'm really attached to her mind, while her mind is imperceptible, immaterial, and it really, I cannot hug the mind or touch the mind, or it fulfills my sexual desires, So it couldn't be the mind. And so this is how, as we do this kind of analysis, then we are able to
overcome one's attachment to either the body or the mind.
All this is the similarly, Lucian or to do or shower. The charging Mercedes, the same Dema shower is it. That's Dema Shana, the pedo Mercedes, the make to the Riad, Lucia Yomaravas. So the Teleshana to me radio is. So this is the Lucian to do or shower do. Similar shots and then similar shot the government do see. The government to hire Doyomar, Tonya, the Riak, Yomaravas. Said that the rest is the Tajan machine, any Luzukanla charging Maris, that those and things.
So the bottom line is that I should neither be attached to a body or a mind. Of course, from man's perspective, to a woman's body or a woman's mind. And if my object of attachment is her body, then why, I'm not attached to her dead body, and it is the body I said I'm attached to. But if you say that the dead body is dead, I want the body with the mind kind of thing, well, then seems to like mind is more important here, but really you can't see her mind, you cannot touch her mind, and mind is meaningless in the sense that it really does not fulfill my, just to be explicit, my sexual desires. I can't copulate with the mind, so it's, and so in that sense, mind is not the object of attachment in this case. So through kind of ruling out these two types of possibilities, then I'm just kind of analyzing and telling my mind, so how does this attachment arise? What is it exactly? Because the object of attachment that I looked at really is not working out, right? No.
What is good? Because Tuba Sim Gashi Shabadi, Tommy little Chuchi Shadi, Tommy Tuba Bagi the service, said that the Chuba Bagi is some the shot, and the Kwashabak Yuchua Mia, the Red Shaguyana, she didn't Yendum does Yendus and he makes your zero.
No.
Pumas and the top. Bound of side of the or bound treasure. What did result the Jabo much of the Delaya and the Chiva, the river, the Shigu race, or the Tomil the day, and the Tommy told you ever the same the shot and the painter, same the Ridon, you Chumaris, or Tuxi and Dakanse, Louis San and the roller shot, but some the Shan and the government in the Tommy was in what in Luzukanla charging Maris, that social charging Maris.
So as we look specifically into the things that we may be attached to, as we said, from men's perspective to a woman's body or a mind, in the footnote, from woman's perspective to a man's body and mind, footnote closed. So if the body is the one I'm attached to, then how does this work? When I look at her body that's no more alive, it doesn't really seems to generate attachment. I'm attached to that. Rather, it sort of repulses me, So why is that, so to speak? Why the double standard? And Geshe didn't say that, but. But it's the mind, then mind really doesn't fulfill any purpose in the sense that in this particular case, in my footnote, I think we're dealing more with sensual desires, right? The sexual desire. So in this case, the mind is really useless, right? What does mind do? Fulfilling sexual desire. You can't touch it, you can't hug it, so it's totally useless, like a piece of log. Burned log. And if a useless thing we can get attached to, then why don't we hug the piece of log? Or I don't know, some grass, useless grass, growing there, and just hug it, which we don't.
我听的他听呢，女生可能样上街是那没有电东西，可是他在他女生的那就说过说了，上天没啥我是我说突然的天没进去，什么下生什么的运动的要么的我这要么的是，他你就是把干啥样子，这个他长期的女子什么你们要么是吧？现在他第一看了呀，啥没这些，从那哪儿的那社会遇上的没有，老板把些人说的这些事。
So what we have been doing is, by refuting the two possibilities for my attachment, right? In this particular context, it is either the body or the mind. These are the two possibilities, and by analyzing and refuting every one of them, then I started to see that my attachment is kind of like a baseless here, isn't it? And it's the body, as we said, then I should still be attached to her body, whether it's life or death, because it's the body I'm attached to. But but we find a lot of contradictions, right? Nobody seems to be attached to a dead body, and that just, as obvious as anything under your nose. But it's the mind, well, really, who sees the mind? Do you see her mind? Can you really embrace her mind? What does it do? Does it really fulfill my, sexual desires? It doesn't. So it is useless, meaningless in that sense. So as we rule out these two possibilities of being either attached to the body or the mind, then the attachment gets diffused, isn't it?
Oh, dear. Wrong, you Mato Ba, Mevani, Mezoma to me, Ranshi, the Kirby, Shay Pumiso, Shangilene, La Shishin, Mondi, Majurbe, Mezoma Metopa Zamni, Mota Meshe, the Mete, Miriba She Mevela, the Rani Lune. Maison is a consi tadi. Tu jumper, but go goodness. Maison basic, Zabes in a Ranshi Nimber. Tadi was Jiva Yinaya, the Maison Toba Minjuani, Hindu was a shakibe. She think we take the Hindu. Miri bi cheba jela se, and she maybe se, near Sheba was. What is that premier luti be? The social luna shake was with the news by your murder. Social luti, Poca Gosira, Mita, don't Poca Gosicana make noise in the Shannon of the Poca Gosira. The Poca was that Shimada and now that the Mizashi does on the so by again, so the young to share the or did that be the tell the Jojo Motor. Shaya, what's that show? She had top job on the race or that.
No, so.
That for me, little Madonna wasn't due to Shiraya Mother, so the wasn't the trains. They wasn't good to looting Russian over there, but Mezon model, this is that be a top job race or this.
Next stanza reads, how it's translated here is, it is not so strange that I do not understand the bodies of others to be of unclean nature, but it's indeed strange that I do not understand my very own body to be by nature unclean, unquote. So as explained here, the Tibetan word is ngotsar, translated as strange, but I might translate it as like a surprise or amaze. It's not really much of a surprise that I don't know how the other's body is of unclean nature, in the sense we talked about how body is constituted by 32 or 36 impurities or substances, isn't it? Maybe it's a stranger, I don't know her, from man's point of view, so I don't know her body. Well, maybe it's not a surprise. But it's really a surprise that I don't understand my own body that's in the nature, that is of unclean nature, that should amaze me. How come I don't understand my own body? If you look within what comes out of my body, that is very right in your face, isn't it? If you don't need a logic, what is coming out of the body. You can see it, what comes out of, in the text called the 9 holes of the body, that includes the mouth and the anus and ears and nostrils and eyes, right? So the snots and the mucus and the poops and now you know. So what comes out of my body is really direct perception. Don't need a logic. So I know all of these things, the yuckies coming out of my body, but still it's surprising that I have not really understood this unclean nature of my body. Forget about understanding the unclean nature of this other person. Maybe that's not much of a surprise because that's not me,
What is it? That till talk about the Lul Maison your liver sham over yours. Said the liver shot is all shadow Slaviness. Should you say, was says yes, because Lul Maison shot you young. You have the cuddle of the cheddar. Rigjaso, you do me shot to my race. She said, do a shot your Yagasha, do a shot about Yagasha Shasur was this or Shanatita. Dingy do your Tanga Tuji, you mustn't say, was it sadly what a chevy? Pemachun, the man number Jeva. You have the cuddle lady cheddar, Rigjasa. So, Pusos of your dead and dashing. Maison shot Jonseja Meva la Shaba Rigna, Disney la Mejaba Pangni, Pardon, John wishing you, Maison la Shashi, Shabby singing. In Maison to me coming, Lugisim Seda, you did. She said, Gashi, Shakwa Shivani, shouldn't be so. She Tenzin Dorjee took joy to get to get Doba Zevani, Duban Zedo said, Kongu Shiver young, Luni Mezan Rodan Da, Pugagoni Mezanza, Simbu Mezan Mevashin, Lumbu. Lucy did that, he was what did that. Tell ya any today the Bema should any be joy bago to the mother of any be Pugago shot that cousin of Zinzad and the Delish Pumil shaded. She told Lumbo she would do Jaris. Or they said any dizzy show she told she the mother would soon have said she into the Sungo rescue.
Next stanza reads, having forsaken the young lotus flower, unfolded by beams of sunlight free from cloud, why, with a mind craving for what is unclean, do I revel in a cage of filth? Unquote. So Geshe-la's reading of the commentary and explanation pertains to that stanza. Now, I'm sure our mind says, right? We are only addressing our own mind, nobody's mind, right? I'm just talking to myself. But my mind says that, you are only telling me that the body, smells and all the yuckies are coming out of the body. But body also has good stuff, has good and bad. So I'm attached to the good side of the body, so to speak, not yuckies, and then we ask, okay, what is the good side you're telling about? Well, it might tell about the shape of the body, or the color of the body, and the texture of the body, all of that, and maybe the smell too. So then we tell our own mind that in that case there are, so to speak, better options, that if you're thinking about beautiful things, how about a beautiful blossomed lotus flower that just bloomed? She's very young and pretty, beautiful, okay? And she looks beautiful, she smells, good. And why am I not attached to that? The lotus flower just blossomed open by the beam of sunlight and just here, in front of you, so to speak. And why are we still attached to, am I still attached to this cage of filth? Why I revel in that, So I have to kind of, to ask my own mind about that.
我这是可是康复学法下的控制的，连的没长绕单着，不干过的没长着，全部没长随吧，全部没长没关系，能不律师得单着是，我这全部在张马子时候他不个没长差不多那的啥做啥刚刚考定个张马赛的，做吧刚刚刚个学着，我的那些的时候的。Karsa Shibali Lundi Maison Rodanja Fagosaja Simbu Maison Murashi Lumbo Lucy Tetanjas. What did that? Dharma to the Maison Pig over to the Soba Gangal, Sobaka, Chimaka, do it, Kagachade, Tinashigi in Lumbo Tigatis, Lil Chagoris. 我这的几个经验嘛，就这了呀，张马就是啥张啥子的地方吧，张马说嘛是，别张啊就，什么有啥都瑞的刚刚吃过是吧？我这的几个的是我是的。
So in a sutra, it is further elaborated that being attached to a body that is of unclean nature. It's just like how the flies are attracted to filth, isn't it? And if the environment is very hygienic and clean, flies don't like it. They don't come to hygienic, clean place. If the place is like smelly and unhygienic and especially excrements there, then they love it. Flies get attracted to the feces. So in a sense, it's like that, out of ignorance, we don't understand or see the nature of the body, and we are attracted to the unclean body, just like the flies are attracted to the filth.
Junjeso chube maison chuba ni hian sa jo de kue de yuji so de maison shangji la so ba ta gi tikba jung se zang ji se ko le ke de que je ba me de ba yi ne premier so ji lui le maison te nam ni yo ji wa ye lui de maison te me jungu suchiwa ina tela sheda que riban de deva beri so she lui maison gi batela que de que dala yehin tabe ye ta ne tige ma miride dal maison la charge riban deva me de nyamnas o de da lui maison de imbedita musu ta do so de so ta kaje te kare se de so pen cheba ji shabzo do da chema do de ba torso lamza de zo ba ze ro o de so da lamza shaya do de ji she mo ji Pulia Colia Zamazing is your Marwa. So the tears of the maison be tired of Terrace. She got the Shima to the Jimbazomaton, that Chevjin Lass of Terton, because she was always in the Shishimare, what she did that was to go over. 现在这个做法个驴那这看的要是，现在个做法现在这做法也不对，别个大的朝头，我是个朝头我，现在我是同学的，他做的了别个用就些的，现在别两大都现在全部这说是这个事情。
So as we have been discussing that, body is of unclean nature, meaning that a lot of how should I say, undesirable things come out of the body. Body constitutes many impurities or impure substances, but that doesn't require any kind of reasoning to establish it, because we ourselves can see with our own eyes what yuckis are coming out of the body. We can look, the feces and excrements, right, we regard as like, oh, right, it's so smelly. Well, that's coming out of our own body, nobody else's body. It's coming out of our body. And mucus and pus and many other things. Like if somebody spits out, we're like, oh, come on, right? Don't do that. It's so gross, right? Well, that came out of the body. The gross thing came out of the body. It didn't, Geshe didn't say that, drop from the sky. So that's what it is. That all we said, wow, that is feces, right? So smelly. That came out of the body. Well, that's not. Well, came out of the body. Okay, that mucus, body. So body is the source of all this yucky we are repelled by, and we're still very much attached to it. And so that shows us how kind of a naive, so to speak. That's a nice way of saying how ignorant we are, yeah.
다네 되게 뭐 미리데 다네 메존을 샤기 리버 데바 메도 냠나 메존 투메 형음 네즈 쳬베세 마이 예리 쇼아 초진 메존 디 라신디 쳬베 사원니세 사본나 주파이 쿠자다 제 마의 수행심 통배에서 세지 사우지주가 저와 대자의 대회 자니 주대에서 주대 송에서 매정와 대 등의 대 수행심 제의 표화시행 신 표화시 체르제니 장 매 누맛 누셔다 랑 수동 세레세 메정의 주제세 제외 현실을 눈대 주지실 방도 추정 샤바시의 세대 시반의 신의 계획 계속시 류니 메정의 리부템바 대 유대니가 권해세 메정을 줘버대바 워스 버디다 주 메정을 샤 당고 소용을 시대당라 에 메정을 거를 소용시 줄 메정을 쇼르스 에 디부대 메정을 가지 그 메정마다 야마 상지다다 가 쪼바미제 류다 tel리야 에 부가권의 쌍마대대 그 이동화 통화요 말아 제가 뜻어서 그 유대 거래 짱디시다 메정마다 거래야 So as
Geshe read from the commentary, explained that as I look at my body is in the nature of unclean, and actually it has been produced by what we call unclean causes. Mixture of semen and blood, and kind of nurtured in mom's womb, and with all other yucky stuff inside the womb at the time. And so when it comes out, body is the result of the mixture of semen and blood and all of that. And then the body itself is in the nature of uncleanliness. As we said, all the things we have repulsed are coming out of the body: feces, snorts, mucus, pus, and all of the above. And so from whatever perspective we look at my own body, from the causal point of view, from the resultant point of view, really there's nothing that seems to be worth getting attached to, but yet I am. Why? Right? And that's what I'm asking myself. So pretty much because of my lack of knowledge about the unclean nature of the body, or being naive about that, or being stupid about that, however you want to translate it. Yeah.
Shangji Shinaso Jibu Mazan Mango Jungun's Cubes, Rajizi Lu Mazan, say Naso Rajin Jeva, Rajin Le Jeva Ham, Mazan Mambu Ji Jeva Tate, Churchada Deva Shade, Today Mazan Pumbo Jebes, Jeva Chambolas. Shantideva Sheva Shantideva so Sheva was there and bigger Lula the Shantideva there was so much there soon tell me so much was the words. That get Shantideva Shinala Gaga Jungu to the Lukoran Sugar. She said, good was that Lut, so what tell me, tell the Karsi, Mezza, told them, sure, because Shabji there told the Mezza, that thing you go tell ya. She did the Mezza comment, gave out of New Year calls to the end till no Mezza Jasha, New Year, Shabashi, the Chikwa is.
On top of page 112, stanza 60 reads, I have no wish for a small dirty maggot which has come from a pile of filth, so why do I desire this body which by nature is grossly unclean, for it too was produced by filth. So again, I'm talking to myself. Why am I attached to this body which is cage of filth? Even if I find a piece of like anything that is dirty, right, unclean, I'm kind of repulsed by that. A piece of feces or urine. But then this is like the cage or the part of. This is like a septic tank, so to speak. That really, everything that little thing I see there, I feel repulsed, is coming out of this septic tank, like body. So why am I still attached to this kind of a cage of filth, this septic tank, like body? So this is what I'm kind of telling my own mind, right? How come you are so attached to this filth bag?
Kede pime bir ribavus pime giluso mezawe rahime ravele ke teda yime mezawa de mezawa chevala meriva meves teacher mindu teacher mindu de nuji minude teacher mindu de nuji da tembes Dharma Shenose, Nujido, Nujido Tibetan Dharma Shenoshiva, Shenanyan, doing the Church, Rashi, Lumizo, Rosita, merging, Yijo Riba, Shendu Mumbai, Teta Mishiva, Kona Stage, Mizoma Kanye, give a chair, Rangla, maybe Tiki, Pune. Mezama la kamji shakwe se tadung mezama pongpo shenyang deba sheji tishe de tozi nyawa sheba ni shendi mirikbe mewe ne sogo se yana ma seji mezama ya kawai kiwa mezama la kamji shakwe mezama pongpo shenyang deba sheba ni mirik so she te da lu mezawari sina sulu lu mezawari phame lu mezawari chikbari mezawari shakwa de ko hali aska yo maris kuni rig de kha ne de de rig jig so da de ya pe che tha de yo maris te miru medusla en chono be che di lemba resta mezawari pe jungu do tel ta do de ya chima de shaje de to mezawari de jungu ki be Lütel tazo del shabashede in shendi mobile vitaris what is it?
Stanza 61 reads, not only do I not disparage the uncleanliness of my own body, but because of an obsession for what is unclean, I desire other bags of filth as well, unquote. So Geshe-la's reading of the commentary and explanation pertains to that stanza. So should my mind say, I know my body is unclean and it has sort of yucky stuff, and I know this other person's body is also unclean, so what's the big deal about that? My body is unclean, that body's unclean, so one unclean body getting attached to unclean body, what's the big deal about it? You tell me, kind of the mind throws that at us. So to this, as Geshe explained, so that just indicates that how our mind is stupid and dumb. They're trying to justify that not only instead of realizing the uncleanliness of one's own body, just takes that as a justification to get attached to other bodies that are equally unclean, and that just shows how profoundly stupid my mind is, or how profoundly stupid I am, that I'm making that justification and attached to my body and that body too.
Ryu salu sa zuewe se Geshe sangpa ta gam ngola sopa ne tsue la rungye sacha zangye sangwa sandawa nangja linjik tsam kar chokde linjik tsam kar chokde tena lar cher chokde se powa yi se da me kona da sho sa ji zama yang yin yu gobe me zang jin so ba che ba jo ina te ter me zang ya she be lu rang ji ngo me zang te ba ta bi ji ba je gobe te la sha ba me ru so shi ti chi le jang lu ti ni me zang ra ngon sum de che ba te la ke de te dar ju te dar ju ngo ju chi le so ji go ne lu sum me zang ya rang shi de che ba de ja ngo sum de to ne cho ja ta do me zang yi na me nyang yi me shi te zo sa na ne ti ze tudo ta de pore se le number ngwe number pamba number bishi number to so rushing me zama cho shen de jigzong roshin le ta chila ta de rang lu jang shayi pme so ji lu jang me de ta bu rang xin jin de ta bu xue jin chun de le men da wo xie so so to be xie ge da ba xiao wo or this when the say someone dead as so cousin Zama Yabu Shivisun says in the Kanya looks at the Salma death shows in the Lamza and the Saja Zoma. But that did in the Luta Tela Doyors, Comizon, Jungu shows it. Says that is on the Satado Delia Luzum Shayadin, Shin Lumbo in Pitan of the Tengoris. Says that the Muslim great known to you, says that is the Luda Shah Pumiso Luja. That to do road reader, Pumps Timaka, to do near that time, so the family lose to the Gaga. And the Jigba, saying Jigba, Dino, Jimata, Della Yaga, Yamaris, couldn't go new Shenanigans, Gomgores or that.
No, sir.
Stanzas 62 and 63 read, even attractive things such as savory foods, cooked rice and vegetables, make the ground dirty and unclean should they be spat out after being in the mouth. Although such uncleanliness is obvious, if I still have doubts, I should go to the cemeteries and look at the unclean bodies of others that have been thrown away there, unquote. So as Geshe explained, that if we still doubt, that this body is of unclean nature, and what it does is also produce many unclean stuff. The example is given here. I mean, you could, eat a very savory, delicious, one-of-a-kind, delicious food. Once you bite it and you spit it out, it has become unclean. It makes the environment unclean when you spit it out. That's just a little piece, isn't it? But this body itself, as we said, is like a septic tank. It is a bag of fields. And how come we are still attached to that? Why am I should say? So I'm telling my mind. So when we look from the causal point of view, what has brought this body unclean causes, and the body itself, which is the result, is unclean. Its very nature is unclean. From functional perspective, what it does, it produces filth and many yucky stuff. So what it brings out is unclean. So from all those point of view, my body is really in the nature of uncleanliness, yet I'm not convinced by that, and I don't seem to see that. So to convince myself, maybe I should go to the cemeteries where others' bodies are laying around, and some have rotten half, the others have rotten completely, some have become bluish, and some have become, kind of getting dismantled. And then I should look at my body. This is the same body. I don't have any special body, than that. Those body and my body are of the same nature. It's in the nature of decay. It's the nature of uncleanliness. If I'm repulsed and thrown away by seeing all this bluish, rotten, all these bodies, then how come I'm still too much attached to my own body? That only indicates to me how profoundly stupid I am, period. Yeah.
Tene mirikde teta luji mutuba kane pabe kachede shibe roma wada chada nangruso mezon juktowa nam rimbara thwana tamende bar jigba shebo jewa jewa hija Shitana, Josru, Ludi, Yela, Minjupar, Chichi the Lion, Young the Shahi, Gawaja, Giovanni, Shindu Miriba was. Then, around the Chayi Pumisoji, Luni, Tuju, Rodan, Dawatani, Shabagaba, Chow. Busy, you were. 小学生别轮的，他妈的，他们觉得是说是这么小，他们科学的差这样的，兄弟，轮的了科学的差，你轮的他们就呢，他们就呢，谁教的说吧，对，谁看谁是，看谁所以，谁。 Tömatavdi pegeni zunjo da pegeni ne soshini ne pegeni ja pegeni jang choshi hendu mezama jero dio di tibeni zron shedo deda mezama humbu lu ne no kalmone nga jeje khangdi sheba shibelaje dene ngo shendu mishin yinju pumba toshin ro ti nani zaba cha kan chi mishima ta de jong mekju shashin ju 心不静，这个随意下去，可把是接受等。我听着他，都是满洲的，他们偏见噻满洲，你吃吧的吧，绿觉得是，刚刚被南洲人如果现在满洲，就在没做做吧如果是吧，现在绿可能给错呀的，绿可能让些的。 我第一刚刚是没怎刚刚才说掉的嘛，第二唱这不也一种解药嘛这是。现在他是想法家的，现在两边大的是这下。
So the stanza 64 tells us that if we cut open our body and look inside us, then we can see, all the intestines and organs and all whatever other stuff is there, and so there isn't anything that seems to be worthy getting attached to there. We cut open our body, and of course we eat food to sustain life, but whatever wonderful food we eat, once we process it, digest it, then it transforms into feces and urine and other yucky stuff, and so from that point of view, this body, as we said, is the kind of a factory of producing, unclean stuff, products, and yet I'm so attached to it, and so I'm just kind of challenging my mind. Why? That really only tells me you are just plainly stupid. That you don't see all of these things, No.
Oh, that Rimbuche Pumbu does it in my Kungsha with it. Sherry Pumela, Debada, Nyamba, Nyamba Chogo, Pumegi Luis, Shisada, Shime Yonso come at the Suji Gadi, Tedani, Zidegi, the Kiro Rubada, Draw. Maybe so you know she's so soon. Lula Zoe, Sama Gabala, Shingy Tea, Shina, Chameric Banya. Lumazo Musum de Tomayan. Chiro de Tenzin Dorjee, Kubi, Tishibola, Chazian, Pume Soji, Lula Kubi, Tete, Tenzin, covers of quantity inji. 超越现际的逻辑是没满意呗，没得真的说，人们现际的现方面说的， lü mezon tala la jutsun ji shirna shabashi kedi tikhibu la shan lü ji rangshin nakji rübe dan yi jimbe chinga ji mezon la lü de la masana ligwa men de shindu ligin de la shan yeba teme gibi so de masana lig möjang jigde ba da gube tomme ba si sheba dage dala ne lig möjang jigde ba gombe tomme ba si sheba dage dala ne je ju shaba je chedi lü mezon lü zende so tiki bu kuba şey mirikde Shangji Kangbala se Shangji Kangbala Tishim Shung Miribad I don't die so one the Tishimu need no Sende so la Yuba Ti Yula Lula Rashi Ruhi Tingo Yunayang Yunan Rashi Hen Joy Lutel Dene lü ribu tili hembe tihimu jihin jungde jaya ma zhuwe na zende so hiyi ti heme zangi lü tala gide ji shere chakba shi de sha mi ri so dire da ene be lü tihimu shu ne te ya shawa gena tihimu zende da kavur zu tire ma yedi lü ki marwa sheda hingi ti tel den ya tel shaba tel sheda 어디서 나한테 티시보 용사 그러하 먹었지 매장 티시보 현 소개하디 매장 류디 티미 그거를 샤바기바디 싫어 하자는 뭐 말했어 다가지.
So Geshe-la's explanation pertains to, stanzas 65 to almost 67. Which deals with, let's say, if the mind says that I'm attached to somebody's body because that body smells good, because the person has used what we call today perfumes. In olden days, it's called sandalwood, right? Smell smeared on the body. And so in which case, really, the good smell doesn't belong to the body per se, because body is not producing the sandalwood smell or the, that expensive perfume smell. It is something else, right? So now are we saying that I'm attached to the body because, something else is making it smell good, and so that, so we kind of, challenge our own mind in asking that question. It is like, beautifully scented restroom. It smells good because you scented it. Otherwise it's a restroom. Or we call it the bathroom or the toilets. That's what the body looks like, metaphorically speaking.
So lü jigbe ne be shido shi mirbanes lü mizama yang zase la so jehing shido shi be je yi de yan ke de lü de ran shi jong se jang jehing ko so ji jang ma yo la zha de se mo ji ji yi ma ji ji ma je ne xian de ren wa da so jing la so be ma ju be Madribe Suju Chimarang Chakba Madribe so Ju Chimar Cheva Tanga Cheva Tanga Lu Madribe Mushabe Damji Chede Damza Riba Nigi Tigove Timishibada Kume Luigi Rahini ni sarbu shasa am rola diyor cızırmadan şeba yine rola neve sonde rang su yi choja riji dong, dong zong so rang ge shida shiva shindi, shang yu ge lu de la kuya ge yo ba dang, zhasen zhi ba so ji gu ba, so ji gu ba dang, shuk ba shiva so la bian ji shi shida shidi, shi me ru so si. 我的大叔女的说那把等一些嘛，偏多些可以要么那把等一些的，现在那边等一的，他说要拿火车叫其他些的，说要冲着这个那个说哪呢，弄着东西没，到国家的告诉人家的几把的是，现在的其他全部全部的是这个是。
Lula takze che de sigoro ge.
La.
Lula takze che de se kaso.
Oda nu chiwo de se lu de so bige. Za she bu so ne ba yong sa gyu ga lu de re de. Ina te za she bu she da de she de. So ya chong de so be da ne. No mo se ne de nya de ji wa de se wa.
I don't know. At the bottom, page 130, stanza 68 and 69, highlight that if we leave our body, so to speak, in its natural state, and then, of course, it will smell, and it produces things that are undesirable, like nails, and then all kinds of dental problems happens, like the teeth becoming yellowish and smelly, and periodontic problems, all of that. So that's in the nature of the body, and also being too much attached to this body, which in that sense, in that context, how the body is like a source of a lot of problems, harmful. So obsessively taking care of the body in that sense is just like we are polishing a weapon. That's ultimately going to hurt ourselves, and we know that's a very stupid thing to do, right? Why would you want to polish a weapon that'll ultimately harm you? But our body is a very harmful, unclean nature, and we become obsessed with the body and don't realize its true nature. So taking care of that out of obsession is like polishing a weapon that will harm us.
Oh, dear. Shukbashaba saw the name, she whatever Mizal Lunde, Tishimbo, go at them. Shidasheva saw Mirigbe, Swin Dole, Dongomales, Pena and the Shiva saw, Tony saw. Then the Kabu Chashi, Ale Pena, Shiva saw Tony saw. Then the Kabu Chashi, Bejang ne. Kabu Mubo Mingers, Seven Jur, Shilu Shinju Loge, Najichi, Teda Mezan, Sangde Lojin, Lujuji, Noelin, the Zangma Shiki, Zangma Shaki. The Guji Babdi Jani, Tushi Jan, Shida Ange, Sijur, Zangminjur, Jesus, Terada, Susu Lumezan, Tazo Zangmo, Chubajo Karashia, Teresa Takaji, when the Shibakaji, Sola de Carboso, he said. What done, she that done what Jibaris. So the solar Kazin, the solar him, you call Karosha Yamara, or sit at Jibaris, so Ludia, Kadi Subajo, Daudio Kadisina, Samasha Yomaris, what I
So being attached to one's body and trying to clean it off, in a sense, because its unclean nature cannot be, cleaned. So the example given is like a child who wants to clean a piece of charcoal, hoping that it will become white. While in the process, you will dismantle the charcoal. The charcoal is in the very nature black, right? It's not going to be white. So like that, our body is in unclean nature, that cannot be cleaned, just like a piece of charcoal cannot be made white.
What the shit you near La Gamiribani? Ted June doing there now, the Pembe Ton Joala. She the monkey, Trevor Chivi, on Luigi, Shedoseva so, Tommy Lela Bebaye, David Nushu, Tongshin. Shazo Yumobe, Don Jilabe, Shiju Trushin, Neva Chivi, Sadin de Gundi. Chuba de Gundu, Kongsi, Kever, Gever, Kabajo, Hejang, He Jesse, Shawala Niki, took joy, Gone, Yang, took joy, Gone, Yang, Zede. She do there near the Sheva was, whatever that. Usually, near Dusha Zoba, tell ya Sidosin, Shabaka, Jusia, New Competoadi, Tindaka said the Tishidan, Moji Chubak in the only Shomaris. The Tidak Lumbajo Cons, you had the Shirak be top job of shoes in Jesus Cholaria, took joy to Nango race or that.
The Chido said the Kariwang Cheverskin.
La, the Maison be doing a Juina. Tell ya Tama said, Tanto doctors in the Bekia did Cardesan, Shirak top job, Shinjo, Shamboris or that.
So as Krishna explained, there's talking about these things, the great Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, Shantideva, seems to feel kind of low, how we perceive that which is unclean in its nature as being clean because of that distorted perception, which is a huge perception that we develop sort of obsession to take care of the body and make it into clean that cannot be clean in the way, as we described before, and Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, Shantideva kind of feels sad that indeed this is how sentient beings are doing, because this body is in a sense in the nature of suffering. This body has unclean nature, yet we perceive it as being clean and pure, or at least we try to make it clean, like trying to make the charcoal into white, the impossible thing that we are trying to do here.
What is it? Yes, she was Dada Mombes, so second the Deva Kung Chichi, she does shining Kong Penya, she water, she chola, Gashi do more than shadows, she raw, she ropo nam. Chokundu number toy, Rugumbashi, Kavachuba, Tony, to do the name. Yinjuan, the Jackie Jerry, Joy, Ninja Migo, Ninji, Nimigo, Kavachena, Ogi Juadam. Namdo, Kitoye, Yoshi, good, Nam you the Jade, Rugumbashi, Chaba. Simne du minibes, Nobashadagi, Chabes, Chung to do na. To do Nama Yajang, Jusunua, Jusunua Chu, Gawi, she Sirji, Sorti, Deva de Gaji Shabani, Shedu, Meride, Tita to do la jagging Joyce. You get it, so she the KB to do ni number Danny, say Yijun Jerry Bowas, what is that? Said Lutelia to do run on his body, 자 동다는 인주적으로 코로나 차 당소야 들이 추바시와도 다고져야 되시네 시라 타겨버리스 시라 두루로 고윤지네 엔델 인주적으로 있어 어디서 그러지
Stanza 70 on page 140 highlights that we need to kind of look at the bodies on the cemeteries and look at our own body and sort of analyze them in a sense as we look at the dead bodies, right? They make us feel sad. We don't feel good looking at the dead bodies, or we are not going to go and anoint them with the perfumes and clothe them into anything because, that. But the only difference seems to be these bodies are immovable and my body is just movable. Body is a body. The only difference is one is moving and one's not moving. But they are of the same nature, in the nature of suffering, nature of uncleanliness. And just as I do not get and should not get attached to dead bodies, so I should not get attached to my own body that is of the same kind, the same nature. This is how we call it the practice of equalization. How that body and this body are of the same nature. Just as I shouldn't get attached to the dead body that's immovable, I should not get attached to this body which is just moving. That's it. It's a skeleton too.
So Teta Rigben Namra said, tomorrow dead, Dorjee simple Yaya Geshe Way, the Gone, Shaba Ponzi, Tap Mount Temba, Tar, Liquid Samne, Premier Sola, See Gobal, Summer Shows, or Devda. Teta Rigben Thomas. 샤머를 밀르면서 that toujours 가지 제가 가서 사모다나 야로 차여 뭐 이거 뭐가시 되고 가 말아 시대 리베토에 리베나라 되면 drop to aristotle 되나 이 사모도네 품에서 다 품에나 되게 나 이걸 제다가 가려나 어디 근데 차상 고베 타가 이제면 중국어 예서 다다다 이 접동적 돼서 다 되게 샤담 샤바드 님이 샤미르바 유드가시 되게 주동적 거래서는 되게 좀도 되니 엔텔 샤미르비야 근데 드바냐스레달이야 자우리스 어디서
So having discussed in many different ways and exploring all these avenues, basically seeing the realities to be able to counteract one's own attachment. So the whole purpose of discussing all of these things and try to use different ways of thinking, different reasonings, is to overcome attachment either to one's own body or to a woman's body or to a man's body or to anybody's body. Body is a body of the same kind or the nature. But as we discussed, that a lot of the things we discuss are something we can see with our own eyes, right? We do not have to use some kind of imagination and visualization process like what's happening. No, we know what's coming out of the body. Well, you don't have to imagine it. It is there. And we go to the cemeteries and how the bodies turn into all kinds of colors and go through all the, decay processes is something you can see. Nobody has to visualize or imagine or go into some deep meditation there. Just see with the eyes. So the purpose of all of these things, the talking is that body is not worth. It's not worth. We should not get attached to the body because of its unclean nature, its nature of decay. So it's the same whether it's my body or somebody's body, so do every those thinkings to be able to overcome our attachment to self and others' bodies. So,
좋아요,
Geshe
나로 시스로.
would like to welcome your questions, and we will stop there for today. Do we have anything on the online? Sure.
What about doctors, surgeons, physiologists who may not tend to see the human body as yucky, and they may instead see it as an amazing biological machine? Maybe they admire its complex design, and they don't fear the internal structures.
Okay.
So could Geshe please comment on this? This is a different way of seeing the body.
Sure. Taje thone the condition is la rawage.
Yes.
Pena da amji da shaktur chingen de yo rawage. So amji chogi da subul tedi ga ta da de deshe kyawan ne shin ke mizam wa da rang shin dire ta ge yo mares rawage. Da konjo shaktur chogor subun nang nang tro da kare thong ba ine rawage. Jigbe da chokba shiwish tu da maru ba shiw din ke sam ge yo rawage. Subu sing de ngona hang sai se din de da thuje de ma so de nyok ro sab din rawage. A de sam ge yo res rawage. Se da ta da din de je yo de thol ke kong zu kare yo na sa ge.
나 간데스네.
암지 속에 이렇게 미 수고 샥저 제 다윤데 간리야 에너지 두그링에 제가 단다 셰데데 통고요 말을 하게 딱고 가서 수고난게 가리네 그 로이네 규마이네 그 가리 임바다 가로하게 미 수부 세겐디 지 취제다 마선 취제 할레베 로하게 지금에 지금 어설진에 지도 로하게 제 딜이야 에너지 미자와다 두그링에 제게 통고요 말에서 따다는데 지요레스 니토르 게인 공주로 지게 숭에 예베서 게와 다디 간자 디린 셰데다 파조 이게 따다만다 샤고 로하게 어디게 직 숭고마다 세세지
대두고 당원이 갈때다 공장에서 그 류메상하다 세야다 샹저싱이 따서 메카가 샹저시야 되 나자도 약고 류서야 된다 상모도 시디고로 그래서 거기 그 포기 상모도 차이카가 저도 여러 그래서 그 쫑다이고 뭐라고 야 약고 서서서로 그래서 공장에 되게 류도 닝뭐 과에 차기해서 주는 닝뭐 메가 상모도 거로
So what Geshe can say is that, of course, I mean, the surgeons and the doctors, who are especially those who cut open our bodies, look inside, I mean, their purpose and is very different, isn't it? Their whole motivation is how can I save this patient that I have cut open, right? They're not going to like, is this dirty, all right? They don't have to do that. They don't have to see anything dirty inside. They just look at how complex this human body machine is and how can I fix it, the problem here, and save the life, right? But we as meditators or yogis, our goal is that how can we, overcome our attachment to the bodies. So this is why we talk about the unclean nature of the body, right? There is a purpose behind what we are trying to do this, trying to look at the body in a particular way, right? Yeah.
So somebody might say, so the body is unclean, but so what? It still brings some pleasure, and I'm thinking about. I read by the commentary by Gyaltsen on the 400th stanza, and Shantideva doesn't seem to be making this point, but Gyaltsen says that it's the unclean is suffering because it harms. That's the problem with it. It's not just being unclean. He seems to be. He points out that it's unclean, the mucus and all that, but leaves it at that. But according to Gyaltsen, it's what makes it bad. The unclean is that it harms because it causes suffering.
Oh, you mean the uncleanness
unclean
causes
is harm. Is suffering because it harms. The unclean harms.
Which you said, yes, just commentary on that?
Yes.
Okay.
So, but there's not much explanation. So I wonder if Geshe would say something about.
Okay.
So the unclean is suffering, harms.
Okay.
That's really.
Also, explain that more, right?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
So that will actually kind of go beyond just the pointing out the obvious that the body is unclean.
Okay.
But so what of it?
Right.
So yeah, it's unclean.
Right.
But not only, but the fact that it's unclean is bad because it harms, it's suffering.
Okay. Quran disagreed and the condition the Quran be Litholia Yazabchi Debarich Lord in Sarawagam. Tidita and the Delia and the Lilia Chapaji Yomare Kokarin Sindikalia Mizaba Rangshin Rela Ravagam. In the Yazab Swans and the Mizaba rest at the Tapo Nature Wagam Mizamba Hansai came Ravagam. Mizamba Yimba de Taka Never Rangshin rest Ravagam. Chesdicala ko Mizama Chigo Mareta, Mizama Yenza and New Yungos Ravagam. This is Ducala de Chicks. Because what the next song did or Gengi, my second night in Asa, Mizama in a new session of again. Never and she said, Delia, Magic, the sheriff's mouth.
Never, he said that
Mizama, the never and she's over again. Mizama in, but the never and she's over again. Lead Mizama in the
wars and the Mizama words.
No.
Said that call the Shahido said, the never and he did it. The canoe, the call there.
I said the Chakshin de la Mother Mizamba Koran neighbor and she rescale the Tungi Kuda.
Call it call bigger your dead of Tanisina. So Lias made the call Pedro Marata.
Let's socially Chapaja, much she Mizamba Koran can the Carson gain no drink the cigar Maroga. Lead the Mizama Rangshin sons of Koran, that never dangerous dinner Kilagomara.
Makora Mizava is on the call you did of time. Said the Gizet talk mercy.
Say what a Mizava Yimmer Korangi, so never
get a call someone to stand. Pendo, you want to my
just try to get hope that Geshe understood what I'm saying and then get the answer right. It seems like he did. So, yes, in a sense, it's a fact that when we look at the body, right, it produces yucky stuff, all of those things. So you can say, what, but the issue is that when we don't see its unclean nature, but we perceive it to be clean, then that perception becomes harmful. Like if you think body as, right, in a clean way, then that just harms us in the sense it can accentuate our attachment to the body, things like that. Yeah.
What about the fact that something being unclean, instead of calling it unclean, call it impure, and imply that it's related to the outflows, to the afflictions, right? Impure. Related to the afflictions.
Oh, affliction, yeah.
So instead of unclean, impure, which means related to the afflictions, as long as it's something is related to the affliction, not only the obviously impure elements of the body, but everything, even the pure elements of the body, would be related to the afflictions, and because of that, it will be productive of suffering.
Okay. Yeah, let me go back to the yes. Ala Quran this go tanda ke phebe ngan ching na lui mizam be rangshin se che ro wa ge ta china ngan chang ma sang gi ching nam ju she de che ro wa ge de man mizam se di din de ko den ko chida ngan su bu na ya ga chai ne ko mizam wa smar ka ko nyomo den se gi ro wa se ge nyomo je je gi ju cha go yo san de sa ne mizam wa sla mar wa ge din de lap te go yo mar wa sa mizam de chida da ga sa chang ma sa ke chen me che ro wa ge ko la ko wa sab ro chna me ne ro wa ge ta Mizaba Rashikita, Numaki Rawage, Chida, Subo Yahweh Chajimene, Ko Numo Takasot, did working as Sakuro Bage. Sawaki was on the Mizama said the Sakjelia Kodesh your Vesa. Mizama the subject.
Mizama said the what is Mizama. Some sort of says, there are a child, no, you mother, they did. The Mizama.
The member Mizamba said, "Qua something with the subject, why you're also."
Medals, do such as such a lot. Since the Medals are the young so much that they go.
Jidan is your in the subject of one of Yes, that when we talk about unclean body, the obvious things they talk about is like 36 unclean substances like that. That is one level understanding. But as you're kind of suggesting, that could be translated into impurity in the sense that one of the things we talk about is that our body is contaminated, right? Which is English word doesn't give much sense. That has tied up with afflictions, isn't it? So that could also be at a deeper level. The impurities, right? Yeah.
There's a related question online. Yeah. Isn't every aspect of our samsaric existence unclean in the same way, since it is all composed by contaminated aggregates? Isn't that true?
Kandi shue chaje thone sidu kangli ya korbe nangi che thangpa sakse rawas rawage ngangze phungbu nga sakse de songza subu chigo chi da kar mizang wala labde mar ko kangka lo phungbu kangka sakse rawasa ge chesa ko ti ta tunge kyu cha de mar we sa ge
de so de ka ko ga thoya songze chabaja ge mege de ya cha ge ro de ro
No, so she
Chibata to any so more the humor.
No. Well, as a matter of fact, when we think about, for lack of better, I don't sense how much the Tibetan word is Shartse. We consider as contaminated psychosomatic aggregates. In that sense, yes, body is no different from the mind, which is uncontaminated. But the reason why we are so much focused on here is because this is something visible, and we are so much attached, right? And we can, in some way, easily understand it, relate to it, right? Mind is very difficult. We get into imperceptible, like a world, and that's why we seem to focus on that body. Okay?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's interesting. So that kind of goes into, I don't know if I necessarily have a question, but it's more like a comment, observation, because, this honing on the body itself, like the filth and stuff like that, why we're attached to it, especially some of us who are in relationships, it's not really, some of it could be like attraction, sexual attraction, and stuff like that, but there's kind of like more to it, love, compassion, stuff like that. Ultimately, I think, eventually we learn here through the teachings is that in itself, even those type of relationships are not necessarily true happiness, right? There's still suffering in it. We still suffer from it, right? But, part of me feels, this description on the body itself is just, or like the way they're pointing out, I don't necessarily, I guess I'm not convinced. I don't know if it's like, is it really that bad? Really bad. But I get the point what Shantideva's doing, right? It's just for us to really focus, on practicing, right? Or just, giving ourselves some time to develop practice, all right, or sitting down. But I guess, for me, these are like the descriptions of what we went through just, today and even last Sunday, seem more exaggerations that I'm not really still convinced, But as I was saying, even Vladimir saying, we understand that even relationships in itself are still suffering. So.
Okay. Let me get clarification. The Quran samjud is the wage. Chivas that came into Roage. The Kasana, Kazan Tunang Yamaja Tanda Anzurgita, Louis de Mizama Rangshin, but she the Roage. This is the Ducalia Chorche de Teneta in the Basso Roage. Chorche is the Ducalia bed and Anzurgi, Truba Chedash in the Roage. Kirisha the Didara in a manner some the Roage, Yimager with the Yumuroa. The Benanga Chedash Miso mid the way or Roage, Sazan and Karina Roage. That is a Cocoven and Dawas on that Pampas of Kazakan Magan Kotumer and Shinji the Roas Roage. Chesa the second ditch canang messing as among the Chorjene, Louis the Chapaji, Madi, Chapat Goy to the shady Gorwage. Chorjene, the Sojourn Yabucho Roge. Matoko Yaname Danshine Digmaroge. 저저 딘데게 지게 가서 초 담면에 지 수고매들 하게 디마도 코 류리야 배도 거 두링에서 랍딩에 서치 공무성도 하게 로게 저 진짜 장도 된저니가 슈주브제를 라버 하게 단다 라고도 나르시는 데 슈주제를 거 하게 저도 그때지 초상단 마선으로 하게 콘서 고다니 배 두링에서 지 고구매로 섬들 서게
대대 그 카드거도 이거 비싸서 뭐도 대저 류세아는 초드와이도 류디 양 초시야 때 약보에서 듯이 대저니가 류데스리 코 연대주는 해야 여러와
나래
다다데 꼭 류를 차야 그 샤바디 뭐 손자 제거에나 이 류종 제거 뭐 류에 대해서는 콜 샤바도 말와 류종 시고로와
나래
그래요
나래
다 대저니가 세야 돼요 대대 약보에서 류디레지 때 초드와 되게를 뭐 이게 애네 녀아이다도 소견달 이제 저도 말했나 나때 연대시거라 카드거도 데코를 좀 연대이셔야다 카드거도 되면서 자식으로
나래 So what Geshe wanted to say is that, of course, I mean, couple of weeks, let's say, we are focused on the unclean nature of the body. Of course, we are not talking anything nice here, right? All yucky stuff. The purpose behind is not to demean our body, but to overcome our attachment to the body. Because when we see body that is of unclean nature as something clean, then that only gives more attachment or intensifies it, right? But then on the other hand, in Buddhism, we talk about how, from other perspective, this is a fully endowed human body, you know. And in terms of spiritual development, right, in samsara, there's no better body. So we really need to take care of it. We have to appreciate it, right? So we talk about the what called the preciousness of human body, life, and how meaningful it is, right? So it depends what is the goal, right, we are trying to achieve, and what, you know, so if you want to appreciate the body and take good care of it for spiritual development, we have to think from the positive side, isn't it? Now, if we want to overcome our attachment to the body, then if you think about the positive side, it doesn't help. So we have to think from a negative standpoint. Yeah, so we kind of have to balance, right, in the sense how, what is the purpose behind the kind of practice that we're doing.
Yeah, and I guess that's what I was thinking too. It's like, especially for us who are lay practitioners, also, you know, we're not monastics fully. Fully, we're not even monastics, but yeah, we're in, some of us are engaged in relationships, some of us are not. That's just fine. But I guess it's just a balance.
Right. Yeah. So that's what it's trying to do, right? Yeah.
Because if anything, also like these relationships are also like our gauge for practice as well. You know. How patient are we, right? How generous are we, you know? So. Okay.
Yeah. Quran did some good again. That was our mina sons. Energy sazan, energy dawa yorwage. Tangi koti kange mere se pajong sosa sazan digi subul turing eza sam dena ko dewal nugro wage. Rawage. Ta ko de pajong zawa da mi pa chamjong da soba de mango je samdang ko rosa ro. Ko pajong subu de turing eza kom dena dene yung maroge. Wa dine ki kang dine thor da chi 공부 시에다 성과를 로하게 아주 초용을 로하게 사자위만 사장이 수부디 두링 이제 보면 되는 게 사자를 예식으로 하게 괜찮소게 라 괜찮게 돼 만약에 견디바이나 가서 게 말하나로 하게 하고 미나이나 사자요라 가로요로 하게 네 수부디 두링 이제 보면 되나로 하게 미미 대화를 내세게 돼 그래서 꼬치 냠내 체다로 지금 말 하게 네 삼을당다시 괜찮아요나
알레 데가 내가 다다고 초신의 배 메타바데 그 정신 상하더라 맞아 나한테 가로트라서야데 그 통조스 그 농조 코로나를 차셔거라 농조다 니지 이카가라 맞지
뭐 니들에마다 이네마다 이다지 가로어디 수불을 그냥 두링에서 보면 되나 그 미미 대번이거로 올라가게 다마다 제 에너코게 미데미
근데 힘차디나 가로 힘차디나 그 차고에 누구에 들어야 좀 되는 그 차와성으로 그러는데 배도
다 남주야 근데 보면 되나 파종하다게 대화를 뇌식으로 왔다야 뇌식을 말이야
제가 대답에 그 카가제야 좀 대화도 뇌식이 말이
that's maga 마차이는 용식 말이야 that's 가야 융로 돼
가야 융로 돼야 돼 차마 숙세부 되게 잘해 봐도 용자가 사동 뒤시로 되게 잘 말아
I'm just trying to push Geshe to address the issues in the sense that we as lay people, right? We have relationships, and I was saying, as a lay person, right, if you think about all the things we said about the relational partner's body, right, that doesn't seem to be, right? Could it affect negatively the relationship as well, right? So how can we balance it out? That's what I'm coming to, right? I'm just trying to push Geshe just to think that way, which is working yes or no kind of thing. Here, but Geshe said something that's very, very useful here. In our relational context, right, if one of us is too much attached to the other person, how much suffering that brings us, isn't it? So to be able to deal with that suffering, if this kind of thinking could also bring some perspective as well, isn't it? But usually our relational partners' love for each other, care for each other, that's a different matter, right? That shouldn't diminish, and Geshe really never thinks that if you think this way to overcome the attachment, it's going to cause divorce or something, right? So I'll stop there. That's what Geshe stopped it. Okay, one more question, and then I have request, and yeah.
There's a comment or question. Sure. So this person says, rather than focusing on the filth of the body,
yes,
it seems actually the bigger issue is impermanence and death as reasons not to be attached. Could Geshe please comment on this?
Yeah, that's a good one. The Tajet on the condition is the Rawagain. Answers Lula Chaba Chapa Rawagain, Rangil in a single Chapa. The ma that new style, yeah, that's some Shambat Ravas again. What is impermanence and what? Penake Midaba Comero again. And Chiwa Midacomea, the Chita Midaba Comena Chapa Dogor Vasa again. Injiminchi Sukuti Turing and Chicara, Tokbare, Mare, Chorus, Combo again. The nation Digmares again. Midaba from the Chiwa Medaba when a Digma Injiminchi Sukuti Tokbare, Turing and the Combo vessel.
Macho Medabate Mungo Johnson, Chita Tangi the daughter of the Carlula Cock, you don't want to tell it. Mizam and Dish Medaba was a Carsa, you don't want daughter Mara.
I'll show Mother Condoto Maro. I'll share some daughter Maro. So Geshe says that, reflecting on or meditating on impermanence, death, and dying, that is particularly effective to overcome grasping at permanence of life. But it may not have the same effect on attachment to the body, because attachment exaggerates the qualities and sees something that's not there, unclean as clean. So to be able to directly contradict that perception, so we have to think about the unclean nature. Impermanence, it doesn't take that. Okay. So I have announcements on behalf of GSTDL. As we know, we're all looking forward to His Most Eminence Song Rinpoche's, visiting here. It seems like, some students have reached out here, and as a matter of fact, one a senior lady and one a nun, and so they request if GSTDL provide accommodations. Of course, we don't have rooms to accommodate. We always request our students. If any of you at that time, sometime in October, if you could have accommodation for a nun
recording stopped
or a senior lady, and I'm sure we'll get more requests like that. So please keep that in mind, and if you are already yes, then please talk to our venerable manager or inform that by that time you might have something. Okay. Then again, the Gen Kazan Pedua, Kusho Kunjo Vesegi, Anela, that tongue to go again. Kusho Kunjo Vesegi, Anela Rawagain, that tongue to the what? Three tongue to go. Then the two make them Ronas again. Gen Kazamenga Pedua. Oh, did it?
Recording in progress.
So I have a prayer request for Miss, Hai Nguyen. We call it lovingly Mahai. She is now going through her, I think, okay, so she is gone. And so we now need to request prayer for, her to achieve a good rebirth. Okay, before I was going to say help her to go through the process. Now, she's already left. And I'm sure we know others too. So let's pray to Arya Avalokiteshvara and do some dedication.
Chadong Golun Gyuben Gyabo Do Jendong Gyabo Sangbe Sangye Dong Kangla Kangde Tela De Zhenba Chenre Sela Chanze De Omani Peme Hong Mani Peme Hong. Omanim Beme Hong Rin Gyawa Di Nyodo Da Jere Sewan Rubjo Nen Dowa Jiyam Deya Salam Gwembara Sho. Will dedication prayers. Page 3. Lord Jiazi Yudong Bega Di Gesam Pove Judo Minba Shin Denba Zinla Wando Yiju 常年出关就老所望的马王大美关键东华的抗日中所年到甚至张根家我年华有世界张松定是马月希望定见结为金光热为节谢谢日本长驻等龙道他们这北北北远间对着家族更多小的 天上广大且着装备者用作有的土备鸟给龙日的见内部白点白土点抗日到多南公民在把南大军电当周围偏点准备轮着居民起为天来街上对接人多小点说就是拉面土界没有浪的街上对接电当上面 少数多多几多东北，其他明边的个轮着说，让家新建广播三八面做到南街也用着嘛，叫做这些拉着他们这些大的明显交给我，特别知道路上叫我也写着电板这边白云。 他对对着中国新年说，杨对年节红包说，今天中国强大北面的代表找我说说他我，那么大。我上今天百多晓得说，最终家境农村杨百姓，三中其实。 公众写了送中这边的代表我的全部晓得说，前边东岸国王不做，准备日朗岁月不着急，准备蹲点那些的。新年全部晓得说，开边朗读古先在的这准备年做到些，上边的这中国一些农送的新年全部。 天上多浪周围点点节，满中大家咱们时间把拉近这点点着。今天新年全部晓得说，说上叫我世界去了，昨天他们这送面进来节，大家拉上大白的。 两个轮着说，常住深着人不接，马街把那解决。 Yeba Nyamba, Meba Yang, Gone Gon, Pewara Sho, Dongni, Dawa Rinpoche, Maje Banan, Jeju, Yeba Nyamba, Meba Yang, Gone Bara Sho, Sa Xin, Be Xin, Ju Xin, Men Do, Zhang, Ri Ra, Lin Xin, Yun De, Yin Ba De, Sang Jie, Xin De, Me De, Wei Wa, 如果能到新了，这把小看的绕外过来，新干都偏当的。现在希望电信叫做也下边谁的把电源机一当过入了，忙着那个那样的呀，民叫我工作样的老忙的，这面切记别拉拢。 사다 남예 연대 랍조는 로지 창계 고바 뉴도